Now available to pre-order is my latest documentary, The Untold Story of No Retreat, No Surrender. I spent the past year working on this. I'm really proud of it. It was a lot of fun putting this together, and I'm excited to see it finished and finally coming out. It details the making of the film when Hong Kong action met Western filmmaking, with interviews with the cast and crew, plus contributions from some of the best action stars of the genre. We cover Bruceploitation, the shooting locations, the sequels, and the film's catchy soundtrack. The Blu-ray is limited to 1,000 copies, it comes with additional special features, and it's region-free. Visit returnofclassics.com to grab your copy.
No retreat, no surrender.
Now out from Arrow Video is the 4K release of John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. The film arrived in cinemas back in late 1994 in parts of Europe and made its way to the USA in early 1995 and in the UK during the summer. The film was a relatively low-budget production at $8 million and didn't fare well at the box office, arriving at the number 4 spot in the USA and the number 8 spot in the UK, but it would do better internationally, making the film profitable. Despite its initial lukewarm numbers, it was seen as a return to form for John Carpenter, as his last feature, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, was a disaster critically and financially. The critics were pretty positive as they loved its premise and its homage to H.P. Lovecraft with the monsters and other visual elements. Informally, the film is the third and final installment in what John Carpenter refers to as his Apocalypse trilogy, which first started with The Thing and followed by Prince of Darkness. For the plot, we are introduced to insurance investigator John Trent, who is hired to investigate the disappearance of acclaimed horror author Sutter Kane, whose new novel In the Mouth of Madness is eagerly awaited. John suspects it's an elaborate publicity stunt by Kane's publisher. John discovers that Kane's book covers form a map to Hobbs End in New Hampshire, the fictional town featured in Kane's stories. He and Kane's editor, Linda Stiles, set out to find the location. During the drive, they experience surreal phenomena designed to scare them off, but they eventually arrive in Hobbs End. Everything in the town seems all too familiar, as John and Linda realise everything is exactly how it's described in Kane's books. John insists it is staged. Linda admits that although Kane's disappearance was a hoax, the current events are not. They head to the local church, which is described in Kane's novel as built on a site of ancient evil. The townspeople arrive demanding Kane return their missing children, and Kane is spotted at the entrance. Back at the hotel, Linda insists the events that are unfolding as written in Kane's new book foretells the end of the world. The film first arrived in widescreen on the Laserdisc format in August of 1995 in the USA and Japan. I used to own the Japanese version but sold it many moons ago. It would turn up in the USA as a special edition release with a Dolby Digital track. A commentary by Carpenter and cinematographer Gary Gibby was included, which is more on the technical side of things and can be a bit dry compared to Carpenter's other lively commentary tracks with Kurt Russell. A making-of featurette was included and a bunch of trailers and loads of TV spots. About 2 years later, it would be reissued with a DTS audio track, replacing the Dolby Digital sound mix. When the film hit theatres, it was advertised mainly as having a DTS presentation, so the reissue retains its original audio. The DVD would arrive in 2000 in the USA. Surprisingly, it would never get a UK release, despite being released theatrically and arriving on VHS. The first DVD release ported over some of the extras from the Laserdisc, and it also included a full-screen version, for maniacs who thought they were losing picture with the widescreen presentation. So you have both versions, which results in a poor bitrate to fit the two presentations on the disc. So the picture quality isn't great by any means, very drab looking, washed out and lacking colour. Thankfully it's anamorphic and not just a straight up transfer of the Laserdisc, though I don't recall the Laserdisc looking this muted with its colours and overall saturation. The DVD would also get issued in Japan, Germany, Italy and Australia, though I'm not sure if they had improved transfers, but they would drop the full screen option, so the other releases probably had a better picture overall due to more space dedicated to the picture and sound. Some would include the featurette and additional B-roll that weren't featured on the US DVD from New Line Entertainment. It would finally come to HD in 2013, with a new transfer arriving in Japan, Italy, Germany and the USA, again not released in the UK. It must have been some rights issue, though a bit bizarre as it was handled by New Line Cinema, and not sold to different distributors internationally. With the Blu-ray you can see a big improvement over the crusty old DVD. Now it's a lot more detailed and sharper, and the colours are far more saturated. People's skins, however, look a bit unbalanced, looking very warm in tone. There is an increase in contrast, which does zap some of the detail out of the darker areas, but also the picture exhibits a slight teal wash throughout, which was pretty common around this time with back catalogue titles, so it results in a not true representation of what they shot back in 1994. The Blu-ray would carry over the Laserdisc commentary and a theatrical trailer, however the original making-of featurette would be dropped. Come 2018, Shout Factory would get their hands on it to do a new collector's edition, with a bunch of new extras and a new transfer taken from a 4K scan of the original camera negative. The new transfer exhibits far more natural skin tones with a pleasing overall balanced picture throughout. Gone is the teal wash, which resulted in some scenes looking too cold, though I don't think the overall picture is sharper. More detail is on display thanks to the adjustments of the contrast and black level. For the new extras, John Carpenter would provide a new commentary track with his wife and producing partner Sandy King. There was a locations featurette, which runs to about 11 minutes long, a 10 minutes or so interview with actress Julie Carmen, and also an interview with Greg Nicotero discussing the special effects, which is the longest featurette at about 16 minutes. Additionally, you get a 12-minute video featuring behind-the-scenes footage from the makeups team and the old 5-minute featurette from the Laserdisc. It would also include the DTS 5.1 mix from the previous Blu-ray. So after 6 years, the film has finally been given the 4K treatment and is to picture a big improvement over the Shout Factory Blu-ray. First up, it comes with the usual additional goodies Arrow provides, with a reversible poster and sleeve for the Blu-ray case, and a booklet featuring some well-written essays about the film. When it comes to the picture, it exhibits a similar colour balance to the Shout Factory Blu-ray, with some minor adjustments to the skin tones and overall colour. It is certainly more richer in colour compared to the 1080p version, which is a tad more muted in areas if you compare the two. But in terms of brightness and contrast, it's pretty similar. You can see a tad increase in sharpness, but not a drastic leap in terms of a jump from 1080p to 4K compared to other back catalogue titles I've reviewed before. So if you are very familiar with the Shout Factory release, watching it in 4K, you might not see a major improvement at first. For the special features, Arrow has ported over the extras from the 2018 Blu-ray. There is another audio commentary included by Colours of the Dark podcast and 4 new featurettes. First up is an interview with producer Sandy King. She explores how she got into the film industry, first starting out as an animator but moved into live action working with Roger Corman as a script supervisor, and came to work with John Carpenter on Starman. She details some of the challenges of producing In the Mouth of Madness and provides a great story about Sam Neill being completely unaware of how popular Jurassic Park was, as they just started filming when Jurassic Park was released. This interview runs to about 21 minutes in length and is definitely worth a watch. The next featurette is an interview with actor Jürgen Prochnow, which is pretty short at about 7 minutes or so. Jürgen explores how he got the part and thought the script was really interesting, but also a very unusual way to tell a story, making it very different to other horror movies. This interview is not particularly detailed, but it was nice they got Jürgen to talk about the movie. Next up is a video called We Are What He Writes, which is just over 30 minutes long, featuring 3 people expressing their appreciation for John Carpenter and the film. This video makes no attempts to inform us who these people are or their background. Are they film critics or historians? What they discuss is interesting for sure, but it does come across as Arrow has plucked out some random people to talk about the film. And the next is Reality is Not What It Used to Be, which is a visual essay by award-winning writer Alexandra Heller Nicholas, which is about 12 minutes long, and she explores how imagery in popular media is used to spread evil. I must admit, these interviews and essays with individuals who aren't connected to the film, I don't tend to revisit, so these extra featurettes do come across as filler content. What I would have liked to have seen is an interview with the writer Michael DeLuca and visual effects supervisor Bruce Nicholson. On the audio side of things, it comes with a DTS 5.1 mix and a stereo 2.0 track. As I often like to mention, the 2.0 track is always handy to have for those who don't have a big surround sound speaker setup and rely on a sound bar. I did find the 2.0 mix to be nice and loud. It did, however, exhibit an unbalanced mix, with the sound effects and music being way too loud compared to the dialogue, which is soft and too quiet in places. So you will find yourself adjusting the volume on occasions to turn it down because it's too noisy or too quiet when someone is talking. When it comes to the DTS 5.1 mix, I was surprised how quiet it was compared to the stereo mix. You get clear separation with the sound effects, a bit more use of the surround sound channels, and dedicated bass. John Carpenter's score sounds fantastic, but the dialogue was less punchy than the stereo version. It had a noticeable reduction in volume, so both audio tracks are a bit uneven. If the dialogue is fighting to be heard between the sound effects and music, then it is a bit of a problem that should have been fine-tuned for this 4K release. But again, this may vary on your home cinema setups. Some people may not hear a problem, but it was definitely something I noticed early on, flicking between the two sound options. If you are based in the UK and are a fan of John Carpenter, then this new release is a must because, as mentioned before, it never arrived on DVD or Blu-ray over here. There will be some movie collectors out there who imported the film from Germany or got the Shout Factory release a few years back, so you may not be fussed about the new extras and are happy sticking with your existing copy and don't want to spend the extra cash for the upgrade, which I can understand. But for everyone else, I think it's a great package. The legacy extras and new featurettes provide a satisfying extensive look at how the film was made and the deeper themes of the script, so you are pretty well served and covered on the film's production elements. Many proclaim In the Mouth of Madness is John Carpenter's last decent flick. What followed was The Village of the Damned, Escape from LA, Vampires, and Ghosts of Mars. He would semi-retire and come back to make The Ward. All of these flicks have had a mixed response from the fans, and many highlight they failed to match the quality of his work from the 70s and 80s. I have a soft spot for Village of the Damned as Christopher Reeve is in it, and Escape from LA does have some good moments, but in terms of doing something different, In the Mouth of Madness stands above the rest, and demonstrates what made John Carpenter so interesting as a filmmaker. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell to be notified of my latest reviews. Big thanks to my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel. If you want to get involved and gain access to exclusive videos and take part in Q&As, follow the link below.